What is up, guys? And today we are in a bit of a different setting than usual, but today we are actually we just finally got the email from Cobb, and I have this Accessport here for a Mitsubishi Evo 10, and I had this for my older car, my old Evo, and it's just been sitting around my room for a long time, and I finally got an email from Cobb. They charged me $250 to change it from an Evo Accessport to a Ford Accessport, and now that we have everything we need, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to convert any Accessport into an Accessport of your choice. So basically, all you really need is just an Accessport of any kind, and then you just have to email Cobb on their website, and they will send you an email telling you, what information they need, and then you just give them that information. They send you an invoice. You pay the invoice. They're going to charge you $150 to get it changed, and then they're going to charge you the difference between the two Accessports. So since it's a Mitsubishi Accessport, it's $500, and the Ford Accessport is $600. So they charged me an extra $100 on top of the $150 fee. Overall, it's still way more worth it than spending the whole $600 on a brand new Ford Accessport. So basically, all we're going to be doing is just plugging in the Accessport and getting it all transferred over. All right, so now that we're over on the computer POV, all we have to do is just start up Accessport Manager. There we are. And it shows that we have this connected. All right, and then you're just going to go ahead and run any updates that are available. All right, now that your Accessport has been updated, you're going to be going to Options, and then you're going to click on Advanced, and then Change Accessport License. And then you're going to find where you downloaded your new license. You're going to double click on it. And then you're going to let your Accessport reboot. All right, and then you're going to run the firmware update again. Okay. All right, and then you should be able to check, and it says that it's an AP34001 now, which then means that the Accessport is now converted to a Ford Accessport, which now means you can eject it and install it onto your vehicle. Okay, so for the installation of the Accessport, Cobb makes it super simple. All you have to do is just follow the instructions that they give you. Everything is detailed on the Accessport. Basically, you pick the map that is best for you, and all of their maps are on Cobb's website. All of the detailed descriptions of what parts to run, what is safe for the tune, and what the tune is for is all on Cobb's website. So if you have any questions, go check out Cobb's website. They will explain everything for you, and pretty much all you have to do is just pick out the map that works best for your vehicle and what parts are on it. So say if you're in my position, you have a completely stock Fiesta ST, including stock air filter. I ran stage 0, and I'm still running stage 0 because I have a stock exhaust and a stock air filter. The stage 1 map is actually for the Cobb high flow air filter, as well as the Cobb catback exhaust or the stock exhaust. So by which that means pretty much every exhaust is going to work with the Cobb stage 1 map. Some people say otherwise, but if the stock exhaust does just as well as the Cobb catback exhaust, then pretty much every exhaust is going to work because it's a one it's just a map that's going to fit everything. The thing is about running off the shelf maps is that generally they are not made suited for your vehicle in specific, meaning that there are certain things that aren't going to run as well as they should, meaning that you need to do a little bit of extra monitoring. And I would actually recommend you flash the map and then do a few data logs and then go ahead and read those data logs yourself, check everything. And if things don't check out, flash back to the original tune. And that's where we can get into the next step, which is basically e-tuning. And if you want to basically get a map that is made specifically for your car, I'm pretty sure Cobb offers a service where you can send them a data log and they will make adjustments to your map to get it perfect for your car. Or even Edge Autosport offers a really good solution for that as well. They offer $200. It's like somewhere like $265. They send you an email. You basically just tell them what's done to your car and everything specific. And then they send you a map, you data log, and then you send the data logs to them. They write you a new map and they just keep doing revisions until everything is perfect. Now, that is the way to go if it comes to tuning on a budget. If you want to get professionally tuned, I highly recommend getting your car onto a dyno and getting the car professionally tuned by a local tuner. There are many ways to handle tuning. However, these are just the ways that I can basically list it off for you. So you can either run an off-the-shelf map, you can run an e-tune, or you can run a pro tune. Those are your three options. Basically, each one is scaling in price. So the off-the-shelf tunes, of course, come free with the Accessport. The e-tunes are going to run you maybe about $300. And a pro tune is probably going to run you anywhere from $500 to $800 and sometimes over $1,000 in some cases. So with all this being said, once you get the Accessport installed, you're going to want to manage it. You're going to want to get your gauges set up. So when it comes to the Focuses and the Fiestas, it's very similar what you want to follow. It's very similar what you want to watch. So of course, I would highly recommend the first thing you put on there is a boost gauge. That'll just let you know what your car is boosting to. Even if you're not watching it, it'll tell you what your car peaked out at some point. And it is very good to know because in cold weathers, your turbos will compress more. And if your charge air temperatures, which should be the second thing that you go to look at, is your charge air temps. If your charge air temps are low, just know your car is going to overboost a little bit. Overboost on a Focus and a Fiesta ST is considered 21 PSI for over 10 seconds. That's when the car is going to enter overboost and it will shut off. It won't shut off. It'll send your car into limp mode. And it'll basically, you won't be able to make any boost whatsoever. So keep an eye on boost. If you're in colder weather, then don't push the car too hard because there's a chance you can overboost. I have personally seen my Fiesta hit about 19 PSI, which I've seen that's about correct for very cold temperatures. So like around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, it's hitting about 19 PSI, which means it is properly overboosting. It's not knocking either, which means that it is running good. Boost pressure, charge air temp are the two main things you want to watch. And then below that, you are going to want your actual AFR. And that's just going to let you know pretty much. It's not going to be as accurate as an actual AFR gauge, meaning that you run a wideband sensor into the gauge. This is just pulling AFRs based off of what your ECU reads, which is never 100% accurate. So I would go as far as just to say that, I wouldn't rely on that 100% because there's a chance that it's going to read a little low or a little high. It's never going to be 100% accurate. So AFRs are still good to watch. You're going to see it basically sit around 14.7 at idle or in cruising. Yeah, it's going to sit around 11 to 12 under wide open throttle. In decel, it's going to be hitting the 40s, which is what I've been seeing. Basically, that's just when the car leans out completely to allow you to slow down. So basically, if you downshift to come to a stop, you're going to see your AFRs climb like crazy. That's just hitting max lean, so that way your car can just lean out so it'll come to a stop. As far as that goes, I highly recommend you either watch your coolant temperature or your oil temperature. Now, here's the thing is that you only get 6 gauge slots, and I feel like it is not worth watching the coolant temperature on the Accessport. Now, some people say otherwise. However, I don't see the point seeing as there is already a coolant gauge in your car. But if you want to be extra safe, then watch your coolant temperature. However, I prefer to watch oil temperature, and I always see that the oil temperature in normal cruising will sit around 170, and under if you're going like uphill driving for a long period of time, or if you're driving on the freeway for a long period of time, I see it climb into the 190s, and in some extreme cases I've seen it hit the 200s, but I've never seen it go above like 201. You know, of course that's going to be different for everybody. If you're in hotter climates, your oil is going to run hotter, your coolant's going to run hotter. So if you live in a hotter state, I live in a desert, so in the summer, I'm going to have to keep my eye on both oil and coolant temperatures just to make sure. However, in the winter, it's not too much of a worry, seeing as it's really cold up here. Yeah, after oil and coolant temperatures, I highly recommend you watch the octane adjust ratio, which is the OAR. Basically what that does is it just tells you how much timing your car is pulling for your gas. So if you get bad gas, your car is going to pull timing. If you get gas that's actually better than what the car thinks it should be running on, then it'll actually advance timing. So just because it makes those adjustments, you want to just make sure to just kind of keep an eye on it. It's never really going to change that much if you keep going to the same gas station. I've noticed that every time that I get gas at like a Safeway or like Smith's, like a grocery store, it always likes to go to about negative 40 or 0.44. So negative 0.44, which that's pretty much meaning that it's pulling a little bit of timing, but it's not bad. Now, granted, the gas up here is atrocious. I mean, we share gas with California, Nevada, and Arizona. So we have that ACN 91, which is basically just unleaded gasoline that has up to 10% ethanol added to make it 91. It's not real 91. It's basically just 87 or 85 with ethanol added to it to make the octane rating go up. So that's their octane adjust ratio. Highly recommend watching that, as well as watch one of your cylinders knocking. If there is a certain cylinder, if you've done a compression test, I would watch the cylinder that has the lowest compression. However, I have it set to cylinder 1. I'm probably going to start testing other cylinders just to see which one shows the most feedback knock, and then we'll be able to, monitor that cylinder because that cylinder knocks the most. So right now I just have it set to cylinder 1. Basically it's just knock count. What that means is that it just counts the amount of knock in a sequence. So if you're getting one count of knock, that doesn't mean that your car only knocked once. That means that your car not only knocked one time in a sequence, meaning that your car could have knocked like 32 times, but it only knocked one time in each sequence. So if you get 5 counts of knock, that means that it knocked 5 times in a singular sequence. It doesn't mean that it's knocking, that doesn't mean that it only knocked 5 times. So it's just good to monitor that. If you data log it, you'll actually be able to see how many times it knocked in total, because then you'll be able to see the numbers of each sequence. So you can see like maybe there was like 32 counts of knock in total, but it only read 1 count to knock in the sequence, which still isn't bad. I'm not sure how Focus and Fiestas work, but I know that on Evos, if you get more than 4 counts of knock, it'll start pulling timing. And that's just kind of where you want to keep your eye on the OARs, because that'll also show if it pulled timing due to knock. That's pretty much all you need to get an Accessport setup. So this entire setup costed me $280 in total to get an Accessport working on my car. Now, this isn't going to be the case for everybody. Of course, if you buy an Accessport off Facebook Marketplace, you can find one for cheaper. If you buy one brand new, it's going to cost you $625 for a Focus or a Fiesta, and it varies in price depending on your vehicle. So since I had an Evo 10 Accessport, which only cost about $500, they charged me the fee for getting the part number changed is $150, and the cost difference between the Evo 10 Accessport and the Focus Accessport is about $100. So they basically came out to $250 for the change, and then the plus tax was about $270, and then the Accessport was about $10, or the Accessport mount was about $10. So of course, if you still have the original mount that comes with the Accessport, then that's free. you don't have to worry about that. However, those ones are shit. I recommend getting a window mount. They're like $10 on Amazon. It's not made by Cobb. Cobb doesn't make a window mount. They do make the A-pillar mounts, but they're about $80. I don't think they're worth the money personally. But that's pretty much everything you need to get an Accessport running on your Focus or Fiesta. Now, if you guys enjoyed this tutorial and, you know, learned something new today, then go ahead and leave a like. This is pretty much the beginning of this budget build. So soon enough, we will be doing the full bolt-on in under $2,000. And I feel like we can even get that even lower. It's just depending on how many parts I can buy used and how many parts I can get on sale. It's gonna, you know, I'm gonna do like a full part tally at the end, and we're gonna decide, you know, is it worth doing a budget build on a Fiesta ST. So if you guys are interested in following the Fiesta ST budget build, then go ahead and, you know, subscribe and do what you want to do. Follow me on Instagram at CJSB and TikTok as well. So I'll see you guys in the next one when we install coilovers.